In the mid-1970s, Australian police nearly deployed one of the most ferocious V8-powered machines the country had ever seen. It wasn't a Falcon. It wasn't a Charger. It was something far more unexpected and far more dangerous. The Holden Torana SLR 5000L34 was a factory-built street weapon, lightweight, brutally fast, and born for the racetrack. And for a brief moment in time, it was considered for frontline police duty. That's right, Australia's fastest muscle car was almost a cop car. But why didn't it happen? Why was the L34, an engine capable of humiliating anything on the road, left on the sidelines of Australia's horsepower war? The answer: a mix of performance myths, mechanical reality, and government hesitation that turned this race-bred V8 beast into one of the greatest what-ifs in Australian automotive history. But before the L34 could even be considered for duty, Holden's original 308 cubic inch 5-liter V8 engine had already earned its stripes. This rugged overhead valve, 90-degree V8 power plant became the backbone of police vehicles across the country. It featured a 3.875-inch bore and a 3.25-inch stroke, providing a sturdy and reliable platform. Simple but effective engineering made the 308 trusted performer in police fleets, delivering dependable horsepower when officers needed it most. In its standard form, the 308 produced between 200 and 210 horsepower and 300 pound-feet of torque, which was more than enough to handle patrol duties. The engine's 8.5-to-1 compression ratio and single Rochester quadrajet carburetor made it incredibly reliable. It was a torquey workhorse, with its peak power hitting around 2,800 RPM, allowing it to easily cruise through city streets or catch up to lawbreakers on the highway. Even better, the engine's cast-iron construction and hydraulic camshaft meant it could rack up more than 500,000 kilometers with basic maintenance. Vehicles like the HKTG Kingswood, HQ Monaro, and early Commodores were powered by this dependable engine. These cars represented the perfect blend of street-ready power and durability, making them ideal for the demanding needs of law enforcement. Yet as the streets became more dangerous and criminal cars grew more powerful, Holden knew it was time for something more. Something that would keep pace with the most souped-up machines on the road. The L34 package, Holden's race-bred monster. Enter the L34 Torana SLR 5000. By 1974, Holden had taken the trusty 308 V8 and transformed it into a fire-breathing monster. The L34 wasn't just an upgraded version of the standard engine. It was a high-performance powerhouse, born from the world of motorsport. This engine was designed to conquer the legendary Mount Panorama and was homologated for Group C touring car racing, making it legal for the track. At the heart of the L34 was a reinforced engine block, designed to withstand the stresses of high-performance racing. Forged aluminum pistons, shot-peened rods, and a high-lift solid lifter camshaft gave the engine a savage edge. The cam's 280-degree duration and double-valve springs allowed for maximum airflow and power, pushing the L34 to performance levels previously unseen in street cars. Compression was bumped up to 10.0-to-1, requiring high-octane 98 fuel, and the engine featured a high-capacity oil pump to ensure it could survive the brutal conditions of Bathurst. Even the exhaust system was race-tuned, with extractor headers and a low-restriction setup that created a snarling, unmistakable soundtrack. When the L34 was in street trim, it produced around 240 horsepower, but in race configuration, it wasn't unusual for it to scream well past 300 horsepower, revving all the way to 6,500 RPM. Far beyond the red line of a standard 308. This engine made the L34 an absolute weapon on the racetrack. With its raw power, finely tuned components, and lightweight construction, it was capable of beating the competition with ease. It wasn't just about acceleration, it was about having the performance edge that mattered most in motorsport. Naturally, police forces across Australia began to take notice. Street racers in souped-up Falcons and Chargers were causing trouble, and the L34 seemed like the perfect answer. With a power-to-weight ratio that left other patrol vehicles in the dust, it was an attractive prospect. Could this high-performance machine become the ultimate pursuit vehicle? Why police wanted the L34? The pursuit car that never was. In the mid-1970s, Australia's highways were turning into battlegrounds. Modified muscle cars, including the mighty Chargers and GT Falcons, roamed free, with law enforcement struggling to keep up. The L-34 Tirana SLR 5000 seemed like the perfect solution. At just 1,250 kilograms, it was 300 kilograms lighter than a Kingswood or Falcon, making it more agile and quicker off the line. With an output of around 290 to 310 horsepower, depending on tuning, the L-34 had more than enough grunt to out-accelerate anything on Australian roads. But what really set the L-34 apart was its handling. With a shorter wheelbase and a lower center of gravity, the Tirana could carve corners with precision and maintain stability at high speeds, qualities that were critical for a pursuit car. Unlike the loud and flashy muscle cars of the day, a plain white Tirana could easily blend into traffic, acting as a sleeper that could strike when needed. When compared to its competition, the L-34 stood out. The Chrysler Charger E49, while quick, was plagued by reliability issues. Ford's Falcon GT, though powerful, was heavy and unwieldy, making it difficult to maneuver. The standard Holden 308-powered cars were dependable, but lacked the performance to compete with the modified street racers. Several states across Australia conducted undercover testing, and the results were staggering. The L-34 could reach 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in under 6 seconds, and it had top speeds that exceeded 220 kilometers per hour with altered gearing. Its cornering abilities outclassed anything in the police fleet, and for a moment, it looked like the L-34 might become the ultimate pursuit weapon. But as often happens, reality intervened. While the L-34 was a masterpiece on the racetrack, its traits that made it such a formidable competitor also made it a difficult machine to operate on a daily basis. High-strung, temperamental, and maintenance-intensive, the L-34 was not suited for the rigors of police work. Why the L-34 was rejected for police duty. The L-34's high-performance engine, while impressive on paper, proved to be unsuitable for everyday police duty. Its demanding nature led to 4 key drawbacks that ultimately sealed its fate. First was the maintenance burden. The solid lifters that gave the L-34 its aggressive power delivery required adjustment every 5,000 kilometers. This was time-consuming and impractical for a fleet vehicle that needed to be reliable. The aggressive cam timing also put additional stress on the valve springs, while the dual carburetors needed constant tuning, yet another challenge for a vehicle that needed to perform at a moment's notice. Second, the L-34 was prone to reliability issues. While standard 308 engines could last over 500,000 kilometers with regular servicing, the L-34 often required a rebuild after just 80,000 kilometers. The engine's high oil consumption, up to a liter every 1,000 kilometers, along with issues like vapor lock in hot conditions, made it impractical for the police fleet. The added power also strained the stock transmissions, leading to failures during high-speed pursuits. Third, the handling characteristics of the L-34, while excellent on a racetrack, were unforgiving for less experienced drivers. Lift-off oversteer posed a serious risk, and brake fade became a significant concern during extended high-speed chases. Without power steering, low-speed maneuvering was physically demanding and tiring for officers, particularly during long shifts. Finally, the cost of the L-34 made it unsustainable for police departments. The car cost $3,000 more than a standard 308, and its fuel consumption of 18 liters per 100 kilometers made it a heavy drain on resources. During testing by the New South Wales Police in 1975, the L-34 required 3 times the workshop time of a regular patrol car, and its operating costs were 40% higher. As the car overheated in stop-and-go traffic, it became clear that the L-34's practical drawbacks outweighed its advantages. The L-34's legacy, from reject to racing royalty. Despite being rejected for police work, the L-34's legacy as a racing powerhouse was cemented. In 1975, the L-34 torched the competition at Bathurst, with Peter Brock and Brian Sampson behind the wheel, securing a legendary victory. This moment solidified the L-34's place in Australian motorsport history. Today, the L-34 is a collector's dream. Only 263 genuine L-34 Tiranas were ever made, and matching number examples can fetch over $500,000 at auction. Its place in Australian automotive history is undeniable. Ironically, despite outrunning every police car of its era, the L34 never wore a badge. Police even studied seized L34s to better understand the cars they never adopted. The blend of racing brilliance and unfulfilled law enforcement potential only deepened the myth surrounding this iconic machine, the great what if. Australia's ultimate pursuit car. Had police adopted the L34, it might have changed history. The car could have dominated highways until the VK Commodore arrived. Its presence alone may have deterred hoons. But reality had other plans. Maintenance costs would have ballooned. Lift-off oversteer and no power steering made it tough to handle. And in a fuel crisis, the public likely would have revolted at cops driving gas-guzzling race cars. Final verdict, the L34's rejection preserved its status. As both racetrack hero and police cast-off, it became Australia's last true analog supercar, too raw and too wild for government duty, but perfect for legend. If you love this slice of Aussie muscle history, drop a like, hit subscribe, and stay tuned for more Legends on Wheels.